What's up, it's Joe with OCDetailing, and I know we work on a ton of Teslas, but you know the second most common car we work on here is a Porsche, specifically a 911, and we have a bunch here at the shop. We've got some other cool Porsches hanging out too, so I want to kind of walk through some of these cars because a few of these are manufacturer exclusive and they've got some crazy specs on them, and it's really cool. I don't know if you know what you can do when you're speccing a Porsche, but you can pretty much customize it any which way you want. The running joke is, when you buy a Porsche, you have to pay for seat belts and a windshield. Did you want tires with your wheels? That's an option. So basically anything you can imagine is an option on a Porsche. And I have this 911 Carrera T. This is in Neo Ruby Star. It's this really cool pinkish purple color. And then actually, first time I saw it, I thought it was gonna look very feminine, but the cars I've seen it on looks incredible. Like there's no shame in driving this. Real men wear pink, I'm just gonna say that. So this one is a Carrera T, which if you don't know what a Carrera T is, there's many levels to a 911, right? This is considered the purest 911. It comes in a stick shift, it's rear wheel drive. It has upgraded suspension that's more geared towards the track. So you really feel connected to the road when you drive this one, even more so than a normal 911. I'm gonna walk through some of the options this customer got on this car, and then I'll tell you what we're doing to it. So first thing, the crazy paint job, right? The Neo Ruby Star pink. Along with that, we did these really cool vinyl decals on it. So this matches the agate gray, which you get only in the Carrera T, which is the same color as the wheels, the mirrors. You'll notice some other accents around the car, the badges. So we put this Porsche decal on the hood, and then we cut out, very carefully and stressfully, cut out the circle around here so you can actually see the pink showing through around the hood crest. And then we're gonna swap this hood crest with the hood crest off of a Turbo, which is a new for this year. They have a solid like a gray and black crest that matches the one on the wheels that we're gonna put on there. Also inside of this car, he did deviated stitching. So there's a bunch of bright yellow stitching in here. This is all custom added. The coolest thing about this though is that he added the GTS wing on this, so it gives it a lot more of an aggressive look. They call it the Aero package that normally is only available on a 911 GTS. But for this car, for the Carrera T for 2024, he was able to spec that as an option. So our customer brought this in for us to do everything to it. He even added a carbon roof, so we got to protect it all. So we're going to do a full STEK Dyno Extreme wrap on this one. So this is going to be maximum protection. We're going to finish everything off with CQuartz Finest Reserve, or D-Quartz, topped with CQuartz Finest Reserve. We're going to do 3M crystalline window tint, but we're going to do a very light shade because why not show off that interior, especially since he has a bunch of body matched painted pieces in here that match the Neo Ruby Star. Moving right along, let's go see what else we got in here. So one of my favorite Porsche colors, Gentian Blue. I had an Audi RSQ8 that came in a color that was very similar to this. I'm actually pretty sure it's the same paint code because Porsche and Audi are slightly married somewhere down the line, or maybe they're cousins. This is a GT4. This car we actually did a full PPF wrap on maybe 2 years ago. And the customer who owns this car drives it extremely hard. This car goes to the racetrack, it gets driven on back roads. This guy's favorite thing to do is to take this car out and just have fun and drive it as intended. So he brought it back in because somebody was nice enough, well, or not nice enough, to clip his rear bumper. So we're gonna rewrap the rear bumper. And then while it's here, we're gonna freshen this whole thing back up. We're gonna clean it up and do a decontamination on it and recoat the wheels for him, since he spent a lot of time putting brake dust on those wheels. So we're gonna get it all cleaned up. And then behind me, I have another exclusive manufacturer car. This is a stock color, Aventuri green, but the inside, I forget what it's called, but he's got this crazy like coffee caramel interior that he spent a bunch of time speccing, along with the LED matrix headlights. And this car is here for a full PPF wrap as well. So a lot of times with 911s, it's one of the only cars that somebody asked me, does PPF add value to the car? It's one of the only cars that I am very quick to say yes, because if you ever go to sell a P car, which is a Porsche, someone will ask you, did it have PPF on it from day one? It's almost inevitable that someone's gonna say that. And if you do have a car that's been fully wrapped, it makes someone feel a lot better about buying it because they know it's not gonna have a bunch of rock chips on it. I wanna show you this. The Porsches come with these shark fins. This is the shark fin splash area, and the reason it comes with that, if you stand right here, Alex, and you look, the front wheel on the car sticks out and it launches rocks at this when you drive. So the great thing about that shark fin, it is some protection. That is paint protection film. The bad thing about it is you'll get rock chips everywhere around it. I pulled these off that were like a year old, and literally the whole thing around it is peppered. So whenever we do a full wrap on a 911, we actually include putting another piece here. So there's this quarter panel, right? This giant 12-foot piece of film that takes 2 people to install. That's really hard to handle and big and expensive. And you have to take the quarter glass out, so it's pretty involved to get this piece of film down. So we don't want to have to replace this when it gets beat up. So we actually put another splash area, what I call a splash area, that goes from here all the way to here. And we always include that with any of our full wraps or when we wrap the quarter panels on a 911. So you have a tearaway. So that piece gets all beat up and I could just pull it off. I can show you an example of that on this GT4 over here that I said was heavily tracked. You can see the line right here. So this piece right here, same thing, tires launch stuff right here. Normally there's a little piece of film right here that would just get destroyed. So we're gonna pull this off and replace this. Maybe Alex will make some more content about the extra splash area because this one's pretty beat up. It's just hard to see it because it's dirty. Also on this car, because of the cool interior, we didn't want to go too dark on the window tint, but he did want to stay cool. So we're doing 3M crystalline window tint on the windshield, the side windows, and showing off that exclusive manufacturer deviated stitching interior. Now, another crazy spec car. This is another exclusive manufacturer. This 911 is a GTS. It's of Porsches you can get. You get a 911 Carrera. This is your base model. You get a Carrera S, which is this. So you get a little bit more horsepower. You get a Carrera T, which is same horsepower as this one, but some extra options to make it a little more spirited of a drive. So this car has more creature comforts than this one. This is more of a purist car again, so it's gonna be more racy, less sound deadening. You'll hear more noise from it. Where this is gonna be more of a touring car, so it's gonna have sound deadening in it. It's gonna have a lot more creature comforts. And then you have the GTS. This is where you're gonna step up big time in power and you're gonna get the wider hips. So this car has a little bit wider stance in the back. Also, you get center lock wheels on this. I actually think you probably could spec any of these cars with center lock wheels, but they come as a standard option on a GTS. And the customer went through and spec'd this one insanely too. So he did the deviated stitching in here as well. So we've got all this white stitching that matches the Arctic gray on the outside, along with doing gloss black accents. So traditionally on a Porsche, a lot of this stuff, oh, he painted this one too. Everyone spec their cars crazy. Yeah. Oh, there you go. The black one back here shows what normally this would look like. It's got plastic. So this is normally plastic. This is normally plastic. These pieces are normally the same plastic as this. Same thing with this. But he actually went through and spec'd all this in gloss black. So of course he's gonna wanna protect it. So we're gonna go through, do a full paint correction on this car, do 100% custom wrap. Along with doing that, we're gonna install a Blackview dash cam so he can keep track of all his epic driving in this beastly GTS. And again, this car's got the GTS wing that the Carrera T over there has, which for 2024, this is the first time I've seen one of these was on this car, and then I had another one immediately show up with it as well. So kind of cool. I get to see this wing twice. Now, as somebody who installs paint protection film, when I look at this wing, that's how I feel. It does not look easy to wrap, but I'm sure we're gonna knock it out of the park. It's one of those shapes where you're like, sure, I can attempt to do this in one piece, but I don't know how well that's gonna work out, but everything else will be wrapped and tucked in for him. And then if you go through the order of fastest 911s, as you go up in list, you get higher in power. This is a 911 Turbo S. This is going to be the fastest 911 in a straight line. So these things are devastating. In launch control, it does 0 to 60 in like 2.2 seconds or 2.4 seconds and runs a quarter mile in 10 seconds. So this is a violent car. They're so fast. And the customer went through and spec'd this one to his liking too. It's GT Silver, which is just an iconic Porsche color. He did the red interior, which looks awesome too. Again, that's an exclusive manufacturer option where you get the red interior with the deviated stitching to match it all the way, and the full leather dash. So again, Porsche is pretty particular on stuff. If I were to go through and look at each one of these cars, you'd be able to see where people pick stuff and they didn't. Because if you pick leather, like you pick leather for the doors, you would have to actually add it for the dash. It doesn't all come together. I'm sure maybe they have a package for it, but that is half the fun of speccing a Porsche. Anytime a customer calls me and they tell me they have a new 911, the first thing I want to hear about is how long they spend on a configurator, because I know for me, I would lose sleep over this. I might end up divorced because it's such a big decision. And then Porsche gives you a lock day. They say, okay, you have this day, you have to lock in all your choices and you cannot change it at this point. So you spend months changing it, asking friends, asking family, trying to pick this, trying to pick that, deciding what's worth it, what's not worth it, deciding if you need to sell a kidney or two, deciding if you should auction off your children, what you need to do to get the spec you want, and then they put the pressure on and say lock it, and you end up with your car. And the car comes in, and hopefully it's exactly everything you hoped and dreamed for. And I'm blessed that a lot of these customers let us share that experience with them, and then they bring them in for us to protect them. So again, doing 100% custom wrap on this one and some 3M crystalline window tint. Also, we're gonna protect that interior with CQuartz fabric and leather. Now I have another 911 next to me here. This one's a cab. This is what the 911s look like when they come in a cab. This one the customer picked up as a certified car, so it was a little bit older, but it only had 4,000 miles on it, and it's actually, even though it's a black car, it's in great shape. It has a lot of swirl marks on the paint though, so we gotta go through and polish everything and make it look as good as we can before we do a stealth wrap on it. So we're gonna do XPEL stealth on this thing. We're gonna finish it off with XPEL ceramic coating, and along with that, we're gonna tint all the windows. We're gonna protect that roof. This roof is actually pretty dirty, so we're gonna clean it up, and then we're gonna put CQuartz fabric and leather on it to make sure it's all hydrophobic and retains that red color, along with coating the interior on this one, because this also has the red interior. So red, the pigment itself oxidizes, so this is one of the interiors that I recommend coating, because usually on 911s, I don't do a lot of interior coatings on them unless they have a crazy color that loses pigment, and red's one of them, because traditionally you don't see 911s get thrashed to the point where there's a huge benefit in the ceramic coating, like you would on, like say a minivan or something, or Alex's van, where his kids are eventually gonna thrash it if he lets them. And then the last Porsche we have here, this is actually a really special car. This is a 981 Spider. There's the most recent version of the 718, and the 718 came in and Boxster. This is the previous generation from 2016. They didn't do very many of these cars, so this was basically the same car as that GT4, except in a convertible. So this is a convertible Spider, and it has GT4 suspension, GT4 engine, GT4 brakes, but you get the Spider top, so it's a little bit different than your traditional Boxster that has just like this little short roof. This actually has a wider back, and you get these two humps back here, and you get the big sign here that signifies Spider. This is another car that my customer really, really loved. He had one, and something bad happened to it, like somebody hit him and totaled the car. He was sad, and this customer's actually brought several cars in here, and he always talked about his Spider, how much he missed that car. And then one of these came up, and he got rid of a brand new GT3 Touring, which, you know, is an awesome car in its own right, to get this car back, because this car is much more in line with a Carrera T than it would be for a GT car. So GT cars are just absolute beasts, and they do have some electronic nannies, and they make them super controllable, and you know, it's really, really, really fun car. But some people, I hear them say, I haven't got to drive one, but they say it takes a little bit of the fun out of it because it has so many electronic nannies and stuff. Well, this car does not have any of that. It's a very raw car, and the customer missed that. So he got this car. It actually already had some PPF on it. We went through and cleaned it up. The install wasn't bad, so I was like, just send it. You know, it's like you have functional film on here. Let's use it until you get it beat up. But we did want to add some accents. His car originally had silver wheels, so we powder coated his wheels silver. And then he wanted to do some cool stripes on it and add a CarPlay system to it, so we're doing that for him. And that's all the Porsches we have at the shop right now and what we're doing with them. And we work on them all the time. It's literally the second most common car we have here. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe with OCDetailing. Please subscribe for more Cybertrucks or Porsches.